4, 3, 2. Come on, technology. 1. Nailed it. All right. I'm going a little nerdy style today because I ran out of contacts. True story. Alrighty. We are almost finished with this self-made series, and I cannot believe. I think we've been doing it, what, almost a month now, month and a half, 2 months. Full season, 13 episodes. This is either 11 or 12. I lost count. I'll have to go back and count it to make sure that I do all 13 episodes. All right. You guys, I'm really excited about today. I really am. Because I get this question more often. This is the second question I get most often. And that's how to differentiate yourself. How do I differentiate myself? Everybody's doing what I'm doing. How do I do something different? How do I showcase myself differently? How do I position myself differently? How do I package myself differently? And in a world of inclusivity, important, in a world of inclusivity, we still also need to be able to showcase your unique skills, your unique brand essence, anything that makes you different and unique, while at the same time being inclusive, or practicing inclusivity, if you will. Let me check the live super quick. So what's up, everybody jumping on live? Put in, hi, honey. I see the comments. And if you're watching this replay, what's up? I may end up putting these like inside the community or something like that. So I haven't decided yet. All right, but let's jump in and feel free to write your questions. Let me move this up so I can see it. Cool. Write your questions in the comments. If you're watching this replay, then like send them over to me either in a DM, or some of you have my email address, some of you do not. But hang on, I'm just talking while I'm trying to get my notes up. All right, there we go. So this has been the theme this week, only because, bringing on a couple new one-on-one clients. This is what we all hit this week, or a lot of them at least hit this. So, I'd be curious to know too, just because I keep getting this question from everybody all the time, whether they're clients, whether it's in my inbox, whether it's, I hear so much about it, so many different angles, right? And so it just kept coming up on how to differentiate. And so, personal branding, hello. One of the things I've often said is if you have a really powerful, clear personal brand, you will know how to differentiate yourself. You'll know all of the ways that you are unique. And most importantly, you will never compare yourself, not at least in a way that feels disempowering. Okay. Because I think there's healthy comparison, and then there's disempowering, unhealthy, if you will, comparison. So, but in that whole comparison game of look what they're doing, and they're either doing it better, faster, stronger than me, there is no better ever. I am a big component of you are never better than. Nothing you do is better than. Okay. Even if sometimes your ego is like, I can do that better than them. We've all heard it. We've all heard it inside our minds. But when it comes to positioning your branding and just being that truest, authentic, highest version of you, right? There is no better. There is just, how are you different? How are you unique? And that's why I say it slashes the comparison game. Because when you're really clear on that, when you're really clear on a couple key steps to do with your brand, business, brand, you're the face of your business. Hopefully, if you're listening, that is ideally you. Or you work within a company and you need to be sort of that face of the company and really positioning them, or at least promoting them in good light. You might be the CEO, some management position, and you really need to be establishing your personal brand so that you're helping to support promoting the company. Or maybe eventually, sometimes people come to me and they're like, I need to do a personal brand because I don't want to be working for somebody else anymore. And I've been in this great power position. I want to eventually transition out. All important reasons to have a personal brand. Okay. You're going to hear me talk about it way too much. Oh man. And this is another video because sometimes people are like, isn't personal branding really about self-promotion? Oh my God, can we? No. If you think that, if enough people are thinking that in my circle, oof, let me just stop that. But two, if you do, please go look up reasons why that's not true. I might make a video about it. I don't know. But today we're talking about how to differentiate yourself because it's key and important. All right. So let's dive in just because serious and hold please. Yeah, okay. Make sure everything's off. You guys, my brain. I've already had too many clients this morning and I've got one after. So Jesus, Sarah, get it together. All right. Differentiating yourself. Let's start with, and this is going to be redundant. Okay. So fast forward this 2 minutes if you have already heard this or if you're watching the replay. Okay. But I'm going to say it because it's important. And for some reason, even when people know this, they are often still trying to figure it out. Okay. So that's why we're going to put it in this topic as anyways. Okay. So that is identifying your target audience. It sounds like a broken record. Okay. So fast forward 2 minutes. All right. But it's so important. And I can't tell you that even when I talk to people and they're like, oh yeah, I know who my target audience is. And then we start going through it and I have like my own templates and questionnaires and all that stuff. There's still some unknowns in there. So really, truly understanding it. And then of course, right, I always like to nerd out on like the psychology of understanding people understanding people deeper. And so we use archetypes for that. And so if nobody is done understanding your target audience and defining your target audience using archetypes, game changer, legit game changer. So it's not just about the pain points. It's not just about the pleasure points. So knowing who you're targeting will be more likely to listen to pain points and some will be more likely to listen to pleasure points, right? And so it's kind of like, what is the strongest desire? Key focus points. What's the strongest desire, either pain or pleasure? And then what is their archetype? And understanding them more. Okay. And then you can get into stories like and all of that stuff and what stories to tell and blah, blah, blah. And I've done videos about that and courses and blah, blah, blah. Or it's in one of my courses. This also positioning is in the Profitable Personal Brand Masterclass. If you guys are watching this, honestly, because it's on the website for like $200, if you want it for free, like send me a message and I will give you a link to it. Okay. Happy to guide into that. If you were just like, I need to understand my positioning and my personal branding so much better. And you were just like, I don't know what next steps to take. And I need to know this now. Send me a message on LinkedIn or Instagram, whatever, and I will send you in there for free. Okay. $200 value, 3 video masterclass. It's yours. So 1, yes, identify target audience. Duh. Okay. Has it been 2 minutes? Great. Second one, and this is, I'm going to say contrary to what some people will say. Okay. Because the second step, what is most often said that I will disagree with is to analyze your competitors. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of doing that. That kind of goes in the vein of like, oh, it could skirt a little too close to getting into that unhealthy comparison game, right? If again, you haven't established a really strong personal brand for yourself. But the reason why I don't like analyzing competitors and I don't like sending people to look at what they're doing and what is their messaging and what do they say? Okay, one, also in the vein of everything is AI now, and everything's going to start sounding the same. Then if we're talking about how to differentiate yourself, do not look at your competitors because then you're trying to fit yourself into a mold of them, which goes contrary to differentiating yourself. Don't rewrite their messaging because they either had like somebody else write it for them and their personal brand, and they've done brand DNA and they've done the foundation of their story and where they came from and everything that would relate to their brand individually, uniquely, their differentiators. And so if you're copying them, then again, it completely goes against differentiating yourself. So I am not a fan of check what your competitors are doing, don't copy, but, modify their messaging. Like, I'm not a fan of that. I'm just, because if we're talking about how to differentiate, and yet then you're in the mindset of, well, let me go check what everybody else is doing, then it's contrary, right? So I think that just speaks for itself. So instead, do your deepest brand story, get to finding out from your past experiences, from we'll get into step 3 and 4 here in a minute, but like just finding out aspects of you that make you different. And that's what you would turn into, whether it's your messaging or the things that you're offering, just all of those things, right? Because especially if they are like big brands or personal brands that have been in the game a minute, it's inspiring. Like, look at them of like, oh, I see what's possible for me. But don't look at them from the perspective of what they're doing, what their messaging is, what their branding is. Don't do that, because they've probably paid a shit ton of money to somebody to do their foundation of their branding so that they can understand beyond just the colors in their fashion to really get clear on how they are unique and how to differentiate themselves. So they've put in the time and the energy and the investment, whether it's money, time, whatever, so that they can really understand how it's unique or how their brand is unique to then be offering to their target audience. Don't copy their shit. They may not even be the same target audience. You don't know. You don't know what their brand DNA is. That'd be like literally trying to copy somebody's DNA, like your body, human DNA. I don't think we want to do that. Like, you're your own DNA. Pretty sure you want your own DNA, right? Somebody's texting me, you killed it on IG. I don't know what that is. Who's texting me? Okay. My ADD today. All right. I mean, my expert multitasking skills. All right. I feel like all women are a little ADD. Okay. So I will say, do not analyze your competitors, right? But instead get to really understanding what you want, who you are, right? Learn from things that they've done, learn from their mistakes. I'm all good, right? I'm all about like, did somebody else fuck up? Okay, how can I apply that? I love sharing my mistakes with my clients because I'm like, please don't do that. Don't do that. Learn from me. I learn from other people's mistakes as well, so that you can compare all day. Absolutely. Learn from them, anything that they put out there that is mistakes, but then develop something that is unique, that helps you stand out, that's totally different than them, right? Okay, which brings me to number 3. Many of you have already heard, right? The unique positioning statement, UPS. Sometimes it's unique value positioning, right? There's so many different ways to say it, right? UVP, UPS, USP, like all the different basically, it is a statement that some people call the elevator pitch, but I feel like that is so like 80s. So I don't know. I haven't really called it that in a while. But it is the thing that has all the different elements of who you are, what you do, who you do it for, and more specifically, how you do it that is unique and different, right? And I did a workshop on this where, a lot of people really kind of have been in the past highlighting like just the what they do. A little bit obviously of like what they do, who they do it for, because that's target audience, right? And everybody kind of gets that, but it was mostly like, this is what I do. These are the benefits of what I do, right? Again, also, if they're unclear on who they do it for, then they won't always include that. So a lot of it was focused on what they do, but people don't really want that anymore because it doesn't showcase all of the things. And it's not a full, complete statement. And so the newest way, if you will, and this is also inside the masterclass. Okay. So if you want it, DM me, what your brand does, right? That is the benefit. And that's what connects people. And then the who, obviously, and that's target audience or the persona, the identity, right? Again, use archetypes. And then the why should always be included because it's what really helps showcase your mission, which helps build trust. It's your why, right? It's why you're doing it, or why it's maybe needed in the market, right? something that kind of relates to why you're doing what you're doing collectively, societally, something like that, like a justifier, if you will, right? So in this positioning statement, you want the what, you want the who, you want the why then, either why that's justified for the reason that it's needed in the market, or why being like your mission. Or your personal why. And then finally the how. And here's the little caveat to the how. So this is my brand, this is my different element to adding to creating a differentiating statement that will help you differentiate yourself in a crowded marketplace. The how, but not just the how being like, sometimes the how is the experience that you create, or the course, the product, the service, the right, whatever the thing is, or the doing that they'll end up getting or doing or something like that, right? Product, service, whatever. But then I add this, I call it the USS, right? And so that's the unique signature system that you need to add to the how section. Okay, so if you're taking notes, pause, get a notepad if you don't already have, or take notes on this particular place right here, because huge level up to creating brand difference or positioning yourself differently. Having that USS, unique signature system, unique signature method. Again, create your own acronym for that, but it is the unique way that you do the how that you do. If it's a product, the unique blend of the product, the unique, if it's a service, the unique combination of, different elements of the service, or maybe it's a hybrid where it's like products and services. And this, hybrid together creates its own unique blend of how you're going to help them achieve the whatever transformational desired result that the pain point / pleasure point of your target audience. That was a breath. Give some comments if this is resonating and if this is making sense. Let me open the comments. Yes, hi loves. I see all of your comments now. Give me a minute and I will read all of those because you just blasted a bunch, but I love you for it. Okay, so the how. The how inside, the USS, the unique signature method, unique signature system inside of the how, inside of the unique positioning statement that includes the what, who, why, and the how that has the USS. Is that super? Like, write it down, get the masterclass if you want it. This has been massive game changer. And so whenever I'm working with anybody, or even I just even had a conversation with somebody last night and she wants to have a beauty brand. And I was like, great, babe, love that. She's gorgeous. And I was like, awesome. But how are you going to position yourself differently? And do you have a unique system, right? Do you have some way that you're going to be offering it different, some unique experience that's going to be different than somebody else who has a beauty brand, or some other methodology that you've created, concocted, that only your education, that only your life experience mixed with your education can provide, that would be totally different than anybody else doing the same thing as you. So unique positioning statement with unique signature method inside of that. That's one of the key elements to positioning yourself or differentiating yourself, right? Unique positioning statement to differentiate yourself and stand out and never compare what you offer to anybody else because you have a unique way of doing it. And then on top of, right, your personal brand, right? This is all what's included. Like your personal brand ideally is what will differentiate when you have these key components, because everybody has a personal brand. Okay. Let's just be real, right? Are you monetizing? Are you making yours? Are you leveling it up and elevating it so that it's profitable? And are you check boxing, right? Are you hitting all the check boxes? Or checking all the boxes, okay, whatever, moment of dyslexia. You're checking all the boxes for how you are different and than anybody else doing the same kind of thing. Or even if they're not doing the same thing. Again, it's just how to differentiate yourself, right? And so that brings me to number 4, which is your personality. let's just be real. If you're going to be the face of your business, ideally you are, if you're listening to this, or you need to be. So you either have something to promote or sell, and you're just like, oh my gosh, how do I do this? Right? Be the face of your business. You either are or you need to be. Best way to grow and scale your business through authenticity, right? And just being genuine, right? This is not about sleazy or anything like that. I get that all the time too, because people are like, they think sales is sleazy. There's a lot of people who have done that, but we need to like rewrite that language as well. I am a believer that everybody is selling something. Everybody's selling something. You are either intentionally in sales or unintentionally into sales, right? Everybody wants to get something and everybody has something to give. So if you take the word selling away and you just say, I've got something to give, and I've got something you might want, and I might want something that you have, it's the same thing. And everybody, all relationships are about give, get, ideally, hopefully balanced, right? So if you got something to give or you got something that you want, that's buying and selling. No different. Let's do it authentically. Let's do it genuinely. Let's like shift the narrative of the sleazy. We all know it's there and there's people who give it a bad rap, but let's be real. The whole principle of your personal brand is authenticity. And that brings me to then your personality, because who is your authentic self? Who is your highest self? Who is your truest, most badass self? Maybe the version of you that you don't even know fully yet. Who's your future self that you want to step into? Who is that? And what is that personality? And allowing yourself to have to let those parts of your personality completely unleashed, completely come out. A huge component of that. Okay. Some of you know my industry background. That's not the topic for today. But what I will say is if that scares you, go do an improv class, because I used to be really afraid of improv because, right, my perfectionist side, whom I love her. Her name is Patricia. Like on the days when she's needed, I love her. And on the days when she's a little loud, I ask her to sit down. But she didn't like improv because it meant like, oh God, and what if I mess up? And what if I look stupid? And what if somebody makes fun of me? And oh my gosh, and then I'm going to be embarrassed. And all of these maybe irrational fears, but maybe some of you relate. I don't care how long you've been in business. I don't care. They still come up. And so my perfectionist self, she didn't want to do improv. But I will tell you that the minute that I asked her to sit down and I dove head first into, I was like, I am going to just master this and just give myself full freedom to be fully self-expressed in whatever, and let just whatever part of me come out in a safe space. Hello, improv class. That is so freeing. Like you get this different level of freedom to notice different aspects of your personality that maybe you didn't ever before. You like give yourself that freedom. You give yourself room. Sometimes we enclose ourselves into this like tight little box and we don't know how to move out of it. We're so scared that if we move left or right, it's going to mess something up or we're going to make a mistake or whatever. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe you relate. Give a like virtual high five if I'm not the only one in the room thinking that. So do an improv class. Allow yourself to meet other parts of your personality because it is so freeing. And especially for entrepreneurs, it is, and some of you might even be introverts. You're not an introvert all the time. You especially might need to go take in a safe space, safe container, go to an improv class and just see what comes out. It's a muscle that hasn't been used, but personality, your personality or the personality that is your future self that you want to step into, the personality of who you would need to be for your ideal client, the personality, just whatever part of you that you just, you know, is in there and you can feel him, her, or they. And you're like, oh, they talk every once in a while. Maybe they yell when it's super quiet. And maybe they just like want to come out. Like, who is that? Who is that? And what would your business be like if you allowed that part of your personality to come out? So diving into personalities and which ones reflect your key values, right? Sometimes we have these values, but then we don't always like just give ourselves room to show up, right? We think it, but we're not always being it. And so personal brand, personality is like the majority of those letters. So personality of your personal brand, who is that? What are they? What aspect has not been fully self-expressed? And what would it be like if it was? And what muscles would you need to build to help allow that aspect of you to come out? And maybe taking an improv class might be really fun. I don't know. Like I said, the minute I did it, it just gave me the freedom for so many, just those fears went away. The fear of looking stupid, the fear of, oh no, I sometimes still have a fear of messing it up. Like, let's be real. But the fear of looking stupid, that really went away. And the fear of like, to a certain extent, sure, we're always going to we're going to think what other people are going to think of us. But then if you give yourself that room and that freedom, then you're just like, well, I'm going to say this because my personality wants to, and I'm going to be this, I'm going to do this because my personality wants to. What would that feel like? What would that be like? Even if you were the most introverted person ever. Okay, some days I'm very introverted. All right. Those are the key components, right? Well, I know, and then I talk about authenticity. So for sure, but that goes into personality. If you are allowing yourself to be fully, here's the thing. Pause. Something's happening. If you are allowing yourself to be those, like that most expressed self, unapologetically, don't give a fuck version of you. And if that's your authentic self, then the version of you like holding yourself in, or the one that's like worried about if you're being authentic, or the one who's having that conversation, like that's not the authentic self. So if you're holding yourself back from being the most free self, then that is not the authentic version of you. That's the holding yourself back self. Is that making sense? So everybody that's like, be your most authentic self, and yet, but don't do this, and you're too much here, and you're not enough here. And like, if you're still operating from that, that's not authenticity. That's not being fully authentic. So being your full personality, allowing yourself that freedom, that's fully being authentic. And anything less than that is not the authentic version of you. Ooh. Maybe just try that on. I don't know. Like we would do this practice thing where I would literally allow people to like get mad or get hysterically, like laugh hysterically about something, or just some exaggerated emotion that, again, if we try to like hold it in, that's not the authentic version. And so go somewhere, be with somebody, or go into a quiet, sound enclosed room and let out whatever emotion you feel like you have been holding back because of whatever internal story and dialogue has been there, and just like, let it rip, completely let it rip. Whatever that is, get angry, get frustrated, get ridiculously happy, get goofy, get weird. Nobody's watching except your highest self, but that's a different story. That's the conversation, except the observer self of your soul, just that part, but they never judge. So go into a place and like, just let whatever part of your personality totally come out and see what shows up. Just see totally what shows up. A couple of years ago, I did this course called Confidence for Camera, and I had people practice just doing something completely like goofy, random, weird, all for the purpose of getting out of your normal personality, your normal state of being. Go intentionally do something that gets you out of your usual day-to-day state. Put on some music and dance around the house. I'm a big fan of that. Okay, so those are the key components. There is, of course, more aspects to that, right? Really developing your brand DNA will really help differentiate you and creating a really strong personal brand so that comparison is never a thing, and that you really understand, like, this is how I'm different. I do this uniquely. These are all the ways that I am unique, even if somebody is doing something totally the same, right? And this really comes, I'll only touch on, those of you who know my story from being in Hollywood and stuff. Pretty brunette girls, pretty blonde girls, personality, like dime a dozen. Let's just say girls, everybody, handsome guy, like just dime a dozen. Everybody wanted to be an actor, still do, right? And it's fun. That's one of the reasons why they call it the Hollywood industry. It's the most competitive industry. So when you're in a room, imagine this, just pretend this for a minute, because maybe it's you're scrolling through social media and there's no difference between that and being in a room where you guys are both after the same job and it's just a line of girls and you all look the same. You all look the same in a different outfit. And so in Hollywood, we call that the it factor, right? What's the it factor? There's an energy, right? This is in the Profitable Person Brand Masterclass as well. Again, if you want to DM me, I'll give it to you for free. Special gift. So we call it the it factor, right? But the main thing that no matter what you're doing, it's not the lines. Everybody's got the same lines. You're going after the same part and you all look the same. And they all tell you to wear the same outfit so that you, right? Or you're in different outfits, but like they tell you like black shirt, black jeans, right? Show up clean, but everybody is ideally the same. So whether you are scrolling through social media and you're recognizing other people and all the feeds or everybody's doing the same type of thing that you're doing, the difference is always your personality. There's brand DNA, there's your experience, your education, all that stuff, but your true personality is going to be that one key element that is going to be your it factor, like we call it in Hollywood, because you walk into a room and when you've got whatever word, competitors, who cares? But when you have people who are gunning for the same thing as you, it doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter. There's no you don't have to compare yourself to anybody else. If you know how to allow your personality to come out and you know the things that you do that's totally different than anybody else, that's your it factor. So if that resonates, give me some comments. But that's where, right? Like all of whenever we were getting coaching, it was always like, how do you showcase how your personality? Because you're in a room full of the same. You got to find something about, right? Like maybe some of them can't act very well. Okay. There is always that. Quite a few. And when that's not the case, you can't bank on that. So you have to find and allow part of your personality to come out and let that be a differentiator. All right. I've talked on that enough times. Okay. Just keep repeating it because our subconscious mind it'll land once we keep repeating it enough times. All right, loves. Hi, everybody who's watching the live. And if you're watching this replay, love all your comments. Okay. Let me take a second. Where are we at? 2:30. Nailed it. All right. I have a client in an hour. We're good. Let's see. Watching episodes. Oops. I don't know of The Witch. Oh my God, that old school show. I love that. I used to watch Lucille Ball. I was a big Lucille Ball fan. Let's see. I don't know. Okay. Prompting company, especially. I don't know who you are, honey. If you guys have questions about personal sessions, you can always fill out an application on my website. Yeah. Okay. Suggesting, let's see. Are you suggesting we create an avatar as a representative for our business? So archetypes, you can consider those kind of like avatars, but they are really the root of our own inner psyche, right? They're aspects of our psyche. And so I am never, again, in order for it to fully be authentic, there's never you're not fabricating something. You're not creating something. What I will sometimes say for clients though, is I'm like, is there a version of you that you haven't allowed yourself to fully step into yet? Let's look at that. And what would that be? What does that look like? Which archetype might that be? So that one, we will have that conversation. But you're not like, you could, if you wanted to, like, I mean, if you wanted to ideally step into like a future version of you and you don't feel like it's really connected to you yet, yes, I have done that with clients where we've done it more through hypnosis. So it doesn't come from like something outside of you. You're not looking at, again, you're not comparing yourself to somebody else's brand or whatever. We will do a hypnosis and dive into who is that future version of you or that highest version of you that you feel like you haven't fully stepped into yet. And then we do an integration. So everything comes from within. It is not scrolling through magazines. It's not scrolling through social media. It's not scrolling through like other people's brands and then trying to design something from you, again, because that's comparing, and then that's not authentically you. And then taking something that's designing it off of a brand that they've created, and then it wouldn't be authentically yours. It wouldn't be generated from you. It would be like copied off of them. It's not even the same energy. So it's a little bit different, if I understand your question correctly. But I don't know, using the word avatar is so interesting, right? That's why I like to use archetypes, but I am actually updating the archetypes to be a little bit more modern, because I'm a big fan of Carl Jung, and those were kind of written like a while ago. So I'm just nerding out on my own, like having fun with the psychology and kind of like updating what they would each be, the 12 standard ones at least. Okay, not the deeper elements of, if you guys know Jung, we won't get into that. Different video. But I'm nerding out and I'm kind of updating the 12. For myself, I might publish it. Did my experience as an actress and teacher of acting contribute to this? 1000%. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons. That's one of how I do what I do differently. It's not, so again, I never consider anything better than anybody else, but like, I didn't go to traditional college to learn branding and marketing. I learned it through real life experience from the entertainment industry, and then teaching acting, which was teaching authenticity, truly. And just kind of having people just understanding it from being in the largest media industry and learning things from just real experiences, then kind of going back and obviously learning from coaches and consultants and seminars and kind of, self-educating on traditional branding and marketing, all that stuff. But I related those things, and I see them from a different vantage point. I see them from like just a Hollywood level standard. So it's different. It's just different than somebody who's learned it from traditional college. I didn't do that. That wasn't right. I was in Hollywood since I was 13. And it's one of the reasons why I love helping people do that now, from the perspective of using all of the expertise that I have from the entertainment industry. And some people think your personal brand is really only supposed to be for celebrities, and it's not. If you are a thought leader, I only heard it like once or twice, but I was like, gosh, that's really not fully accurate. If you are a thought leader, if you're a teacher, and if you have a desire to make a bigger impact in the world, then having a personal brand is like, it's a must. It's, I would say anybody right now who wants to achieve higher and greater things professionally and personally, they need a personal brand. And I just learned it originally from being in Hollywood and understanding that like, you are the brand, and it's your personality that you're walking into, or that you're walking in with. And so, yeah, that was a huge contributing factor. And it's one of then how I differentiate myself from other people doing a similar thing. There's very few people who are doing personal branding and brand strategy who have come from the vantage point of the entertainment industry, very few. So I think that that's kind of fun. And when I meet them, I'm like, or when I know about them, I'm like, oh my God, that's so rad. Like, so again, because I understand my personal brand, even if the rare opportunity that they do have entertainment industry background, I'm like, we're some of the few, very few. And I still understand mine, and I still can recognize their other differences, and I can appreciate those. It's a different perspective. So anyways, most companies serve, hopefully that helped answer your question. Mostly serve government sectors. My companies mostly serve government sectors as it relates to cyber warfare and securities and banking systems and cyber. Okay. So what is the question? I don't do LSD, honey, but if that helped you, I guess. I'm real partial to my brain. I don't do anything. I've had my time doing my own past experiences with stuff. So now I don't even have any vices. I think my only vice is coffee, and I rarely even drink alcohol, and my body doesn't like it at all. So I don't really do anything. So I don't know what you're trying to say. I don't know if that's a question or if you're sharing. Other aspects don't always, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm having a little bit of hard time understanding what you mean by that. And no offense, I'm going to skip over it because I don't know what you mean. I've tried other things. Hi, Allie, honey. Other things before, like network marketing and other stuff. So I don't launch anything else because I don't want people to think that I'm a total failure, babe. Nobody's thinking that but you. Nobody's thinking, okay. So like I relate to that because I've heard that voice myself. So I totally get it. And I have failed in quite right to many different levels, right? So sometimes, you know, what we think is a failure, people are like, that's not a failure. And you're like, but it is to me. So, and you can feel big and you can feel small. And I've done both. And things that I perceive as failures. And so some of those things, yeah, you might perceive it as a failure. You don't want other people to think that you're a failure. Nobody's going to think that but you. So even when I did fail, nobody was thinking that it was a failure except for me. Nobody's paying attention. And my mama has a saying too. She was like, if failures were gold rings, how many do you want? Because gold gives you value. And so there's no such thing, right, as failure. We don't like it because we don't like the feeling of it. It feels like shit. Okay. So that's the only reason, is because we don't like the emotion that it's going to come with. We also don't like failure because we have this perception of being embarrassed. Tell me if you relate to that. That was at least mine. That's what I've heard plenty of times from other people as well, that it's not the failure, it's the feeling that comes with this perception of failure. We're going to be embarrassed, supposedly, or it's the feeling of being embarrassed, either by ourselves or our peers or whatever. And so go do an improv class and get over the fear of being embarrassed. And then you'll never have to, you'll never worry about dropping an F-bomb in the middle of a room. You'll never worry about saying something that might come across as stupid in maybe your perception before, because like once you give up that self, but you have to practice that. It's not just like, I get even me saying that right now, that's not going to be true for you, right? It's true for you that you have a perception that you think that you're going to be a failure. That is true for you. So I honor that that is true for you. It's not a fact, but it's true for you. So then go practice doing something that will show you a different fact, so that then that current truth will no longer be a truth. And this new fact will be your new truth. Did that make sense? Super vague, but we are talking about the inner workings of your mind. So I 100% get that that's true. Practice doing something to prove to yourself that there is a new truth, or practicing the other facts. Like what is, I mean, God, we could unpack that like so hard. Like What is the failure? What's the feeling that you think is going to, that you're afraid to experience once that perception of whatever that failure is potentially happens? So you're all the way in the future. Here's the benefit and the downfall to tapping into your future self, right? Because we're visionaries and we have to have future perspective in order to know where we're going. And right, this like forward, like we want the big picture to see everything. The downside to that is then all of those things of, oh my gosh, what if I fail? Or what if I mess up and and what if this doesn't happen? Like there's a propensity that sometimes when we are too future focused, then we stay in the future, and all of this like fear of failure, the thing that hasn't potentially happened, you don't even know. So you're too far in the future and you're too long in the future, and you haven't come back to the present to recognize the steps that you're taking. It, by you not taking the steps in order to get to that future, will surely be a self-fulfilling prophecy of failure. So you're guaranteed to fail if you're too far in the future and you're not enough in your present in order to take the steps that you need in order to achieve that future outcome that you want. You will surely then fail. Did I drop that too quick? Love you, girl. You and I have talked before, so I know I can talk to you like that. Okay. Anybody else listening might be like, so I know you get me. I know you feel me on that. Okay. Let's see. Product sounds so cool. Didn't you take it before, babe? I feel like you did. Go to Sedona. Let's see. I lived in Sedona for 3 years. Okay. It was a badass. It was, there were some crazy people, but other than that, it was really fun. Let's see. Live there. Okay. I don't know. I'm sorry, honey. I don't remember. You're saying that you knew me from Sedona. I really don't remember. But thanks for calling me Powerhouse. Appreciate that. Let's see. What else do we got? Oh my gosh, I got to wrap this up. As security specialists, avatars are required for security. Okay. I think you're relating that to your job, which I love, but I don't have enough context. So, do you need a personal brand to do securities for cybersecurity? I'm gonna pause on that. I'm sorry, I gotta just keep it moving. Let's see. Okay, cool. Yes, that makes sense, Allie. Okay, cool. I appreciate you, babe. Get at it. Get at it. Take steps, whatever you have to in your present to move you forward so that you are not in the same position now that you were last year and then potentially next year. Okay. If you're ready for that next step, you know where to find me, babe. Referring to other aspects of my personal experience, seeing and my interaction of all of them in other futures that contribute to the success here. Yeah, reel all of that in. If you've got too many visions of too many different future selves, that can get real confusing real quick. So I am all for, right? And those, you might be relating those to like the different parts of your personality. And sometimes we project those as like, we see them as identities. So if you're actually like seeing and visualizing them, those are just part of your psyche. So let's just like, ground it out. They're not other versions. Ground it out, get everybody in the same room. They're different parts of your personality. And so love them and appreciate them, but then find who that one true, like highest version of you is. That is the most authentic self. And when I say these other parts of your personality, because it sounds a little like special. But we tap into different parts of our personality during circumstances that we need. So sometimes in a stressful moment, like you discover your your hero self, right? And that the part of you that you needed to be that had courage in a moment. And then sometimes something really great is happening, and that allows another part of you to come out that you didn't know was there. Sometimes maybe when you fall in love for the first time, right? Like this other part of you came out and you got to experience something on a deeper level. So all of these different key experiences, we get introduced to different parts of our personality. And so, but they're not your authentic self. Let me back up. They are all authentically you, but they're not that one true highest version of you, right? Because they came out in instances when you needed them. So they are authentically you, but like my perfectionist self, like she came out, like she's my level of excellence. Like she makes sure I get shit done well. I love her, but she can also hold me back some days. So she's not that one true highest self that sees like that bigger vision of where we need to go. Right. So that's where I'm like, you're identifying all of them, but like put them all in a circle and then find that one true one. That's how I'm just, again, it's, I think that is really why like Carl Jung, like broke them up into the 12, right? They're the 12 different personalities, but then you have the highest self, if you will, right? Those of you who have really studied Jung, like, you know what I'm talking about, but he broke down the understanding of the deeper psyche within each person. But that's like super deep and a totally different topic for right now. I also just try to like simplify things, right? Taking all the complexities of understanding psychology. I mean, yes, being an actor, like we're masters at understanding human behavior and psychology, but then we have to simplify it, and we have to just understand personality, understand people. But in order to help you and have it be tools for you to keep achieving your goals, it's just explaining a little bit. We can't go too deep. We're not going too deep. Not today. Let's see. Yes, you need personal branding for cyberspace. Okay, that's cool. Never thought that might be an audience that would be interested in personal branding, but yo, have at it, man. Cool. Not just an experience. Right. We're just going to keep it super grounded, yo. That's what we're going to do, so that it relates to everybody. You guys, I speak fluent woo, but we also got to just like keep it on a realist level so that it relates to everybody, so that we can actually put it into applicable steps to achieving greater success in business. So I think I understand what you're saying. Okay. It's cool, man. It's all good. And those are all you. They're all just you. Okay, you guys. Oh my God, we got to wrap it up. I have to prep for a client call, but I love you guys for jumping on. Allie, baby, get on it, love. Okay, I love you. And I'm going to say that with love and compassion and like give you a little like, come on, girl. Like, I see you. I got you. Let's go. Little empowerment this week. Okay. So if this was supportive, then do share it, or like it, or comment if you're watching the replay. If you guys are on my newsletter, love you. You're all awesome. Lots of other things coming out. If you don't know, I launched a different aspect of the brand as the agency. So there's going to be more on an actual blog over there. And that is stage 8. But for those of you, if you were watching, or if you were curious, if you haven't either downloaded the Profitable Personal Brand ebook that has some of this in there. Okay, that's on my website. And if you want the Profitable Personal Brand Masterclass, that is like, it's like $200, a 3-video series. So it's not, I mean, it's super affordable, but if you're like, I need help now in understanding for my personal brand and how to just like you're either rebranding or you're just starting. Okay. So if that fits either one of you and you're having just such a hard time, like understanding how you are different and unique than anybody else doing maybe the same, or you're just really wanting to position your personal brand so that you know your difference and how you're unique so that you can keep leveling up your business, and you really want the Profitable Personal Brand Masterclass, just DM me. It's yours, my gift to you. Okay. I love you guys. You're awesome. I got to jump off now. I think this is the second to last episode. I don't know. I will have to go check. If it is, we're going to keep this coming in a different capacity, but for self-made, episode 13, man. Can't believe it's like 2 months out. 2 months. Craziness. All right, you guys, you're all awesome. Let me check one more time for, yes. Okay, we're good. Awesome loves. See you next week.